Listen, we are live. We've had I've had some Wi-Fi issues, colossal 100% packet loss, but those issues appear to be fixed, except for my Google Home, which refuses to connect back to the Wi-Fi network. That is a issue for a later time. We are live with the Canuck. I
Yeah, we
believe
are.
he's got his iPad set up. He really likes his iPad set up. You know what? You should
Well,
really quickly. Can you quickly tell the audience how you obtained that iPad? Because I think that's an interesting story.
it's much too complicated to go into, and uh, the RCMP's already been here 5 times, and I'm
Wow.
no, it just ended up being whatever. I kind of like it. I'm getting used to it. I was never a tablet type of guy. I got a little Hawaii, Madam Butterfly
Yahweh,
Chinese
Yahweh.
one. Yeah, I know. Um, this one's got a better camera, definitely. It's an Apple, will probably last longer. It's probably got better battery life. Um, yeah, it's handy. We're using it. Um,
Right.
I mean, I got an older MacBook Pro too, but it comes in handy. I mean, they're all good things. So, we didn't have any of this when I was a kid. We didn't have any of this stuff. God damn it. Okay, let's go. You want to
Uh,
go? Music
no, we
festivals?
we are gonna go. We're not gonna start the show right now. I must post to the
I see.
platforms.
I see. It's on YouTube, man. We're
I
on
need to post
YouTube.
to the media platforms. I want to propagate some data there.
Okay, well, listen,
So,
we're on YouTube right now, so I'll play a song, okay?
all right, yeah,
I'll
do a
just play a
ditty,
song.
do a ditty. Don't play anything copyrighted. You'll sue us.
See, I almost played a song.
That was nice. Keep jamming, keep jamming. I can test levels. That'd be good. Good level test. Keep going, keep going. Do a little more ditties. It's good, good intro show. I like it. I like when I can get you to play piano. Nice. That's good stuff. I just have one more place to
That's what we
post to,
do.
and
That's
we'll
what
be
we do.
done.
Actually, it's what I do for a living. Believe it or
There
not.
we go. Very nice. Very nice, Canuck.
I know it's hard for you to
We
believe
got
that
some
I
people.
am
We got some
actually.
people coming into the chat here or something. I don't know, but
Oh,
there's a tip jar. There's a tip jar on D Live. If you've got lemons, you can give up those lemons to the Canuck.
I'm thinking about getting a GoFundMe thing and for something.
Okay, Google.
But yeah, and I just want to officially apologize for anybody who caught my rant the other day. We were live on, and I was saying all kinds of expletives about not playing for free. I was just kidding. My agent made me say that. Uh, You know,
Yeah.
he made me say that I wouldn't play for free because he doesn't get any commission when
Right.
I play for free. Okay, well, let's kick it off with music then. You want to get this party started, or? You are kind of ghosty today. It's like
I
Tales from the Crypt there.
no,
Oh, there you go. I
I
can see
can't
you now.
control my smart lights. This is what we talk
I
about a
know.
lot. You know, like when the power goes out or your
Yeah,
Wi-Fi
I
goes
know,
out,
but
and then all your smart devices, you're screwed. That's why I say don't get smart locks on your door because anything
don't get
goes out, you
smart
can't get out of your
anything.
house. You can't lock it.
I think it. I think it's better to get your brain smart than your appliances, dude. You know. Plus, I suggested that the Yankee might have to seek counseling. Uh,
Yeah, obviously. I mean, that's an obvious.
Google and Google and the Yankee have to get counseling. We're going to get the woman who was on The Sopranos to do it. I think that would be good. All right. Well, I'm ready to party if you are. I'm seriously, man. I'm ready to party this year.
Really?
I don't know about, yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but for the last 2 years, it hasn't been any festivals, music festivals. I mean, first big music festival I went to was a thing called Woodstock 1969. I worked there and I was impressed. I've worked a lot of festivals as a musician and as a security person and as a promoter. And there's a lot. So we got two links that are in the show notes. You can find at variant-news.com. And we're not going to go through all of them because there's a lot of them. You want to go to media view and just scroll through it?
Check for the pleasure of the viewing audience, and we're going to switch over
Oh,
to media. I don't know what it's loaded up here. Oh, wow, look at
yeah,
that. We've got the
sounds good.
show notes loaded up, so that's good.
Yeah, it sounds. Oh, there we
And
go.
let's see. Do I have?
You sound good. Yeah, you
Let me
sound good on
just
D
post
Live.
the show notes real quick. So everybody
All right,
has those show notes.
show notes. And like I say, you can find them
The show notes
online.
are in the chat. There is an issue
Party on then.
on SnoozeTube. You're saying we're on? Oh, never mind. SnoozeTube was not loading it at first. Let me just. So I'm actually playing the live stream within an embedded web page.
Oh, interesting.
That's
I
really
have
weird.
no idea.
Look at that. That's weird.
These are strange and dangerous times, man.
But we have Canucks got. I mean, Canuck is. I mean, this is an important topic, old growth, and Canuck. He's got a lot of links here. We're not going to actually go through every single one, but we need to pick out the juicy stuff. I've got a few on the U.S. and if I have to say, it seems like Canada's old growth is in much better shape than the United States.
Well, there's a few
is that a
reasons for
truth?
that. Oh, definitely. I mean, you guys don't have any. What you have generally, from my understanding, is pretty much preserved in parks for people to look at. I lived in Humboldt County, California, which was
Where
one
they
of the
grow all
biggest
that
redwood
marijuana?
stands. No, way before they grew marijuana there, dude. They didn't grow pot there.
What? I thought they
Um,
started growing pot there in the 70s. Humboldt?
yeah, I was in there in 1970, 71. We did not grow pot. And the
Wow.
people that tried to grow pot, it was really icky. I wouldn't know because I'm not a drug user.
Right.
Okay, so anyway, um, where the hell are we? Old growth? Are we talking about old growth?
Yeah, we're gonna start off with that. I mean, you had a YouTube here video, the first one. Um,
Yeah, and I live in an old growth area. So back to the question of why we have more. It's partly from preservation, but it more to do with we had more in the first place. But a lot of it is
you're also
preservation.
not as
Uh,
heavily populated.
well, the thing is that the majority of land in Canada is owned by what's called the Crown. It's the government land, whereas you had much more private land in the United States, so people could do whatever they wanted to on it. And I mean, at one point, they were dynamiting sequoia trees to make stakes for the vineyards. So very, very poor management. Um, the situation in the States is pretty static because it's over. Whereas in Canada, it's an ongoing issue. We still do have old growth forest. There are blockades that exist quite often. Um, since we're still in media mode, let's do the YouTube thing. And then if you want, we can go back into the regular mode for a bit because I'm just going to be talking. But the first video describes what's left of the things and shows some pictures of old growth forests and stuff like that. That'll be a good way to start it out.
This one, this YouTube,
You
it
yeah,
is
J2XE.
only 1% of British Columbia's old growth forest remains. Researchers find.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
And we're just gonna do the first minute, right?
Minute and a half.
Inland temperate rain.
All right, let me get the volume where it needs to be. And check my keyboard. All right. Here we go.
Inland temperate rainforests are among the rarest ecosystems on Earth. In British Columbia, they are populated by soaring hemlock and spruce, subalpine fir. These are hundreds of years old and more than 100 feet tall. These old growth forests are also endangered themselves because of encroaching development from timbering and increasingly from the wood pellet industry. There is a debate in British Columbia about how much old growth forest is actually left in the province. The official number is that there is 51,000 square miles of old growth forest left in British Columbia. And that may sound like a lot, but a trio of scientists that I interviewed that came out with a report recently have studied the data very, very closely. And this is government data, satellite data, and they've looked at how much old growth forest is left in British Columbia. And what they found is it's not 51,000 square miles, it's about 1,500 square miles, or instead of 23% of the land mass in British Columbia, it's less than 1%. The biomass industry in Canada, particularly in British Columbia, argues that it is not a threat to these old growth forests, that what it uses to make pellets are trees that have been damaged by the mountain pine beetle, or trees that have been damaged by wildfire, or lumber mill scraps, that they're not actually.
Yeah, then he
taking whole
goes into
trees.
specifics on
This
the
is an
pellet
argument that
industry
the
thing.
wood pellet industry uses in different parts of the world. But those things are in short supply, and they've been gobbled up in the early years of.
And it shows a bunch of visuals.
Yeah, so that's about a minute 40. It's a 5-minute
Yeah,
video.
that's good enough for that.
Got it in the show
So
notes.
basically, what it's getting to is that there's not that much left. Why don't you go back to camera view, because I'm just going to be going through these articles pretty quick, and it's easier to frame myself in the big view, in live view. see what I look like. All right, check it out. This is from a thing called The Conversation. All the links are in the show notes. Just so you know, an old growth forest is one that is not disturbed by large scale human activities such as industrial logging in BC. These forests have been growing since the last ice age, about 10,000 years. Now, in that preceding video, he mentioned temperate rainforests. They are very rare. I live in a temperate rainforest. The coastal old growth forests are a bit different. There isn't very many temperate. What we mean by temperate, we have 4 seasons here. And we have on my property, and we showed it on a stream a while ago, blue spruce trees that I think it's scaled at well over 200 feet. Would imagine it's probably about 600 years old. Um, Now, logging has contributed mainly to the decline, obviously. The way it works here in British Columbia is the companies get a timber license and then they go in. There's been active protests, particularly on Vancouver Island, a place called Fairy Creek, where up to over many people got arrested, and a court of British Columbia found the RCMP in violation of the rights in the way that they were treated. Some of the trees from this article, more than 1,000 years old, are part of the rare ecosystems that some independent estimates suggest make up less than 1% of the remaining forests in BC. So that's what they're talking about. Close to 25% of the world's remaining temperate rainforest is in BC. Okay. Mainly along the coast. So the coasts do qualify. Um, it's a little bit different than in California, where it's not really a temperate rainforest. Anyway, that's all just semantics. Um, Now, I don't know. Did the slideshow thing work out on the visual capitalist thing? Did that did that
The
happen
slideshow, you
for
want to
us?
switch over to Media Viewer?
Yeah, that would be good if you can get this visual capitalist. Just shows the loss of forests since the Ice Age. Visual. It's kind of nifty. You'll have to scroll through it though.
I'm not sure which one it is. What was that beep?
Visual capitalist, visualecapitalistic.com, visualizing the world's loss of forests since the Ice Age.
Here we
It's
go.
kind of good.
It's the second link. Why didn't I see that? Visualizing the world's loss of forest since the Ice Age.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Now, I don't know if you can get it framed so you can scroll through. See where it says Earth Forest? You can scroll through those maps. There.
What
There
is
you go.
this here? Can I share this window?
I see it. Yeah, you were
Worlds.
framing
Yes,
good.
visualizations are free to share and post in their original form across the web, even for publishers. Please link back to this
Yeah,
page. Yeah, you
yeah.
already did that. All right, so we're going to do it. Earth's forest loss over the last 10,000 years. This slideshow visualizes how 1/3 of the Earth's forests have been lost.
Mm-hmm.
Earth's surface by type. Before looking at forest loss, it's important to consider the Earth's surface as a whole. Barren. 6% of the Earth is barren, includes deserts, salt flats, exposed rocks, and dunes. Habitable, 21%. 21% of the planet is habitable.
Mm-hmm.
What's that? 10.6 billion acres, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Glaciers, 3% of the Earth, 1.5 billion. I believe acres, but they don't say that. The vast majority is concentrated in Antarctica. In the ocean, which I'm not surprised by, is a whopping 71% of the Earth's surface in general, and that's 36.1 billion acres. So I think we better learn how to swim. Moving on, 10,000 years ago is breakdown of habitable land in hectares, whatever you want to call it. Grassland, 42% at 4.6 billion. That's wild grassland and shrubs. And this is 10,000 years ago, not the present. Fresh water is 1% and 150 million acres, it looks like. Forest, 57%. Includes tropical,
10,000
temperate,
years ago.
and boreal forest.
Yeah, 10,000 years ago.
So 10,000 years ago,
That's the
what
way
about
it was.
oceans, though?
They just cover the Earth now. So if you scroll to the next one,
5,000 years ago, 44% was grassland, 1% grazing, 1% freshwater, 1% urban, 1% crops. With only 3 major civilizations in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Indus Valley, and also China, right? What is the Indus Valley? Most of the world's land remained unused.
And then, more recently,
1,700 years ago, We had 38% grassland, 6% grazing, 1% freshwater, 1% urban, and 3% crops, and 52% forest. And the spread of
Mhm.
civilizations and repurposing of land for agriculture becomes apparent on a macro scale. Moving on, 1800, the rise of industry. Oh, so this is, they're saying the 17, so the century from 1700, and now we're moving to the
Yeah.
18th. Okay?
Mhm.
So grassland's 36%, grazing is 9%, freshwater 1%, urban 1%, crops 4%, forest 50%. That's the rise of industrialization. Now, 1900, the century, as easily accessible grassland became used up forests, which have very fertile soil, were also cleared to make room for crops and livestock. 27% was grassland in the 1900s. Grazing had 16%, freshwater 1%, urban less than 1%, crops 8%. And you know what? All of these, I think I was just saying 1%. All of these back here were less than 1% for urban. Okay,
Mhm.
even all the way up to into the 1900s. Crops were
Yep.
8%, forest 48%. Moving on, 1950. Grassland 12%, grazing 31%, forest 44%. So this is where you see the big change. Crops 12%,
Yeah.
urban still at less than 1%, freshwater
Mm.
1%, grazing 31%. 2018, grassland 14%, forest 38%, crops 15%, urban just at 1%. Okay, 150 million acres, freshwater 1%,
Yeah.
grazing at 31%. And do they have projections? No.
No, I
So they
don't
just go
think
up
so.
to 2018, but this is all those years before 2018, urban was less than 1%. Only in 2018 they mark it as 1%, but still look at that. Even at
Yeah.
urban area at 1%, how much it drastically changed everything.
Yeah, and the forest thing now you got to remember that they're counting all forests, not just productive forests, and we can pretty much skip the next
Just
thing, I
just real
think.
quick, I want to thank Carbs. Carbs just followed and
Mm-hmm.
said some things here in the chat. At one time, there wasn't one tree on this entire earth. And Carbs also says Pakistan. I'm not sure if Carbs is from Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are, hello from the United States. And the Canuck is from the hinterlands of British Columbia
In a
in
temperate
Canada.
rainforest, no doubt.
So welcome to the show, and thanks for hanging
Yeah,
out.
totally. Yeah, a lot of things that contribute to the forest demise. What they point out, a lot of it's been cleared for agriculture, which is really common, and it's still common in the Amazon rainforest where they clear it so they can grow crops. So that was a big contributor. Um, in a lot of areas, local population in rural areas have taken down the forest to use as fuel um, because there's so many more people, and they might have lost access to other forms of cooking materials, biomass or something. Um, so that's contributed. And the theme of today is to do with the really precious, for a lot of reasons, old growth forests that's left. Really big trees. I mean, they're somewhat spiritual. They can be saved. They're environmentally really good. They soak up a lot of carbon for what it's worth. And I'm just going to skip right down and give some statistics here. Um, there's some really nifty
Go ahead
maps
and
that you folks
just
can
fix
look at.
your camera, your little off center. You got
That's not the first time I've heard that line. Yeah, okay, it's
that's a
kind of
little better.
difficult.
Yeah, if you can stay in
Okay,
that area, because
I'm going to
everybody
stay
wants to
in.
see your face. You know, we got possibly Carbs is from
Well, you see,
Pakistan.
you
You know,
got to get
he
used to the
wants to be able to
fact
see your face. He or
I've
she. I
spent
don't want to gender
I've
anyone.
spent well over 1,000 hours on radio as a broadcaster. Even got paid for it, uh, and did some for free. Um, so I'm not used to this visual. Okay, that's great. It's up to you. I mean, we can try to show one of the maps if you want. Um, we've got a map from the government of BC that's kind of nifty. There's also one from the before and after old growth forest maps. That's a good one. You got to try the Ancient Forest Alliance. It shows basically how much old growth forest has been cut in British Columbia. If you could find the Ancient Forest Alliance, it's down a couple, I think.
There is old growth maps, priority deferral
Yeah,
area.
Ancient Forest Alliance.
There's
Learn
before,
more
after old
before,
growth maps,
after.
old growth deferrals, big timber company stand benefits, BCS old growth. There's BC caribou habitat, Wood River Basin, and why people are risking arrest to join old growth. Is it the
Yeah.
YouTube video that's at the end, or this one?
No, no. What I wanted to do is it says ancientforestalliance.org. Sorry.
Ancient forest.
Ancient.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, it's one, two, three, four. Fourth one down. It's the fourth one down in the show notes.
All right, there it is. It's loaded up. Before and after old growth maps.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So, old growth forest statistics, original total old growth 5.5 million hectares, low productivity 2.2, original productive 3.3, remaining reproductive 860,000 hectares. In parks 200,000 hectares. In parks and OGMAs 260,000 hectares. Here's the map. Original primary forest of Vancouver Island and Southwest Mainland. This dark green, this beautiful dark Irish-looking green color is the productive primary forest. This beige-like color is low productive
Probably
primary forest.
Snow above tree line, more than likely.
The white portions that you see are non-forest or no data.
Yeah, it's because it's above tree line.
So this first map is the original primary forest, and then there's the productive old growth on Vancouver Island and Southwest Mainland. Obviously, you can see that how much that dark, beautiful Irish green color is gone. So that's a massive discrepancy. Just wiped away.
Yeah, and that's the mountain stuff. And I think there's a couple more maps.
So a majority of this, it looks like, is second growth or young forest.
Yeah.
It's been replaced with young forest.
Yeah, give it 300 or 400 years and it might be all right. Also, the trees aren't going to grow back quite the same way because they're kind of unnatural.
Right.
Which I think shows some more
So this is the higher, third map is the higher productivity old growth on Vancouver Island. So
yeah,
do you want
that's
to move
it.
on?
That's all that's left. That's
what
all
else do we have
left,
here
dude.
out of your links?
Well, I'll just go through it, give you a summation. It's a big battle here. We've got people that are blockading and making a lot of noise, and the government is actually starting to listen. And just recently, BC government announced additional temporary measures on Friday, this very last Friday, protect the BC's iconic gold growth trees. It can live for hundreds of thousands of years. Well, but whatever. Okay, approximately 1.05 million hectares of forests that are now at risk of irreversible loss will now be off limits to logging for at least 2 years, nearly half of what was determined to be high risk by a scientific panel in 2021. So they originally said there was 2 million hectares of high risk, and the government has put in deferrals, and it's covering 619,000 hectares. It's part of a process that was started in 2020. The environmentalists are pleased. The loggers are not pleased. Goes back to a reoccurring theme here in British Columbia of secondary use of the product. We saw the video at the beginning saying they were using old growth forest to make wood pellets to burn in people's stoves. We're shipping whole logs off to Asia and other countries without making things out of them. So the loggers could actually get work in secondary manufacturing if it existed and if they so chose. I'm just going to go over this really quick. It's not just a forest and humans. A lot of animals live there. Caribou, which are mostly associated with the far north. We have southern groups of caribous. There aren't very many left. There's only 1,254 left, and that's down from 2,500 in 1995. 6 of the 17 southern herds have been listed as expiating, meaning they are locally extinct. 7 herds are listed as decreasing. So anyway, the reason I bring that up is I just finished a video on a blockade in that same area, in the Big Mouth area north of Revelstoke, trying to keep the loggers at bay long enough for their moratoriums to kick in or some logic. Also, some of the loggers do not have the best attitude. Now, I want to close this thing with a video that I actually helped produce. It's a YouTube video, and it's about a blockade happened a couple of years ago. The recent one isn't ready; it's not posted yet, but this one is. I produced it for an activist named Tom Pryor, who's working with the First Nations people, and this woman Lola, she's a Cynics, full-blooded Cynics native. And we featured a Cynics elder named Richard on a past show. But check out the loggers, and they come up in their attitude towards this person that actually lived there. Now, you can play it from the top if you want, or you can start just shy of a minute.
So this
play it till
people's
40 minutes.
people's voice is one of your YouTube channels, part of your organization?
No, it's a client. It's a client.
All right, I'll subscribe.
Yeah. It's a client of mine.
So, Cynics, Perry Ridge Blockade 2010.
Yeah.
And what are we doing? Like 0 to 3
Oh,
minutes?
let's see. What are we doing? We're okay for time. Play it from the top to about 3 minutes or so. What the heck?
All right, here we go. So
It's
this
a
is from the
video.
People's Voice channel on YouTube. Definitely check it out. Check it out in the show notes. Help subscribe. Subscribe to us on YouTube too. That would definitely help us out. Long term, I'm not sure what's going on with DLive. I'm looking into peer-to-peer, their new peer-to-peer tech, and trying to figure out how to take that and restream to all the major platforms. It's going to be an undertaking, to say the least. A lot of unknowns, but yeah, definitely help subscribe to the channels we promote, and that's great. Appreciate it. So let's do this. Where is your status card?
Status card is something that First Nations people have that allows them to go back and forth across the border, and it's kind of like a special. You got to be a real life First Nations person. And these guys are putting it in this girl's woman's face, and they will show me your status card. It's pretty classic. These guys are really classic. The loggers. Yeah. Just play it.
So this is Gary, Blair, Jeff. Matt, Gary, Mattis, Lola, Quinn, Carlson. Hi. Jeff is the CEO of Sunshine Logging. Partners in Sunshine Logging. And this is the property license owner of Woodlot license. Owner,
Do we all agree I exist?
I would say you're here.
I see you there in the flash.
Yeah.
Can I see your status card?
Can you see my status card?
Yeah.
Do you see in Cha'i squeeze why me point you yagat ship shippy? But you can call me Lola. That's the language of this land. If you don't understand it, then I guess you're not from here.
I asked you a simple question. I asked you for your status card.
There it was. It's all in the language. This is the language of the land. If you don't understand it, then you're not from here.
Well, if you speak in riddles, take it up with the government in a different venue because it's got nothing to do with me.
Actually, I've buried a number of my relatives here, and I'm a 5th generation local.
Well, I'm about 10,000 years worth of generations.
But I just haven't seen you here.
Well, we haven't met.
Yeah.
I've seen you before.
Okay.
Anyways,
So,
it's all semantics. We asked to go through. Is any going to let us through today, or does that not happen?
what's your business up there?
We have a timber sale up here.
Going through is that the block or whatever?
That's their timber sale. It's not the wood lot. That's
Not the wood lot, that's the actual timber sale.
the Perry's Ridge timber sale he's talking about. Yeah.
Hmm.
We're cutting to the chase here.
Cutting to the chase, yeah.
They want to get into their timber sale from BCTFs. I think that's BC Timber Sales. I think that's the acronym. I don't know the number, but it's where the water is, where the swamps are, where the road currently ends on the end of Gary Burns's woodlot. And they want.
Do you want to do
Yeah,
you want to do a
basically.
little bit more on the minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
to extend the road up towards that lake there. That's how I read it anyways.
I'd have to disagree. I think we deserve consultation in this, and until that's done, I'm not going to allow any destruction to go on.
And you're the sole representative.
I'm not the sole representative, but I'm the one here right now who we're dealing with.
Are you the sole representative of your corporation?
No, I already spoke.
Well, we're soul to soul here.
Speak to the hand, Thomas.
Well, soul to soul.
Yeah,
Think of your soul.
basically.
Yeah, they're going.
They
So
shut
they're
these
going
guys-
into corporation status. It's very interesting. I wonder if Hippie's on the stream, because he does a lot of streams on the concept of corporations. Basically, everybody is basically a corporation.
Well, somewhat.
Interesting.
And the thing is that the First Nations people, are they a corporation? I mean, these people have been there all along.
Well, but like what happened with the United States, it really, you can argue it's a corporation.
Yeah.
And what's so in the present day, in present law, say going back the past, 100 years or so, the laws now all focus around corporations, and it's interesting that they
Yeah.
bring that up. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, I think what the guy was basically saying was, are you the sole representative? And she was trying to give it that she was a big part. And then that voiceover that you heard, the deeper voice, that was Tom Pryor, the guy that actually shoots this stuff. He goes out there with his older webcam and gets all kinds of crazy situations. He's gone to jail a few times for refusing to back down. But that end of that video shows these guys driving away with their tails between their proverbial legs, and they did not get through the blockade. Now, the only recourse that these guys would have is to go to the courts, get an injunction, try to get the RCMP to remove the blockade, but that's really complicated. And as it turned out, they weren't really supposed to be building that road in the first place. They didn't have a license to build the road, but they wanted to go up and build it anyway. So that's it. But old growth, the whole point of this is that it's activism. We do not countenance, violence, eco-terrorism, I think it's called. But peaceful blockades, it's pretty serious stuff. It's watershed.
Yeah, well, it just once you start paving roads and you start building, it's then the runoff. Like California is dealing with this, but dealing this for decades and decades.
Yeah.
The land just once you start developing,
It's over. It's
over.
over. You
Things
punch
just
a road into a wilderness. If you punch a road into a wilderness, then you got snowmobilers, 4x4 runners, all kinds of people going up there, freaks out the animals. And I do want accountants, all my fellow Yankee listener people, type people down in the United States, got to keep an eye on your national forest because you've got them, but they're open to malfeasance. In other words, an administration or a government, federal government, can decide, okay, we're going to allow logging, we're going to allow mineral extraction, mining, we're going to allow tourism. Like we've got this really nifty provincial park. It's only about 2-3 miles from me, called Kokanee Park. Huge, got a glacier on the top of it. Stop on a big bay, beautiful campsites, blah blah blah.
All right.
Okay,
Well, I've got a
so
few
they.
links on the U.S. We can go
Okay, oh
over
yeah,
old
go ahead.
growth. So I'm going to
Let's go
bang
over
through
that so we
those,
can
and
get
then we'll
out of
move on.
this.
We'll move on to music festivals. I know everybody's excited for that. I know
Well,
everybody's
actually,
itching to get out and see live music, right?
yeah, I mean, we don't have to cover that too much because we got the links. There's a lot of them, uh, festivals and stuff. But yeah, what do you got from the American side?
My take that I've seen is, Alaska's pretty obviously. I mean, it's going to have the most old growth that's left, but it's a similar situation to British Columbia. There's not much left in the continental U.S. Um, and this is from worldatlas.com, biggest old growth forest in the United States. Just go through this. So an old growth forest is one of the terms used to describe a forest area that has been able to age significantly without human or natural alterations. Home to many threatened plant and animal species, old growths are extremely biodiverse. These forests are full of fertile soils which gives life to new trees and other plants. The United States is home to many old growth forests, the biggest of which are listed below: the Tongass National Forest in Alaska. And it is immense. 17 million acres. An area of old growth that takes up 5.4 million acres in area.
Wow.
Sorry, within its nearly 17 million acres lies an area of old growth that takes up 5.5 million acres. As the world's largest old growth coastal temperate rainforest, the
Yay.
Tongass is irreplaceable. Its biggest threat, of course, is logging. Not only does its practice result in the loss of ancient trees, but regrowth is often more dense than is natural and therefore unsuitable for wildlife, and logging roads erode into nearby waterways, effectively blocking routes for fish. If Congress permits more privatization of these lands, it will come at the cost of the lives of black and brown bears, salmon, Alexander archipelago wolves, bald eagles, black-tailed deer, and moose. And conservation efforts are ongoing to restore logging areas and promote second growth forests to satisfy loggers' demands. There's the Ouachita National Forest in Arkansas. This old growth section of the Ouachita National Forest is 800,000 acres in the Ouachita Mountains between Arkansas and Oklahoma. Forest is home to over 60 species of native trees and distinct freshwater ecosystems. Then there's the Winnema National Forest in Oregon with 712,000 acres of old growth. This forest backs up against the Crater Lake National Park and opens up to marsh and meadowlands. More than half of this land once belonged to the Klamath Native American Reservation until they sold it to the government in 1963 and 73. Home to mountain lions, mule deer, bull trouts, and around 925 vascular plants. Mount Baker Snoqualmie National Forest in Washington. And this is home to 644,000 acres of old growth, situated around an hour away from the Seattle metropolitan area. Wow, that's really close. This forest is one of the most frequently visited in the country. More glaciers, snowfields, and alpine lakes can be found here than any other forest.
It's lovely.
Willamette National Forest in Oregon. Of the more than 110 miles of forest that stretch along Cascade Mountain Range in Oregon, roughly 595,000 acres of this national forest are considered old growth. Moving on, Fremont National Forest, Oregon, 550,000 acres. The plants and wildlife are similar to the Willamette. The Umpqua National Forest in Oregon, 535,000 acres. A lot in Oregon here. This forest
Yeah.
is unique in that it encompasses both spruce, fir forest, mixed conifer, and old-growth ponderosa pines. There is the Quercus Douglasii woodlands in California with 500,000 acres of old growth, and it's located in the California chaparral and woodlands located throughout California and the northwestern region of Baja California.
Nice.
So this must be Southern California. These special trees are home
Yep.
to many threatened bird species, such as the Costa hummingbird. Other animals are also found here: the Rosy bow, the coast horned lizard, and the Santa Cruz kangaroo rat. Obviously, this region has been affected by urbanization, agriculture, damming, and logging. There's the Quetico Superior Country in Minnesota with 401,000 acres of old growth. The Quetico Superior or boundary waters are filled with boreal forests and bogs within the Superior National Forest. And this one, which I'm familiar with, living once in Northern California in the beautiful city of San Francisco, the Sierra National Forest, houses 383,000 acres of old growth on the western side of the Sierra Nevada mountains, which is very beautiful. The trees in the old growth area are dominated by lodgepole pine and red firs. The climates in this forest vary greatly due to the elevations and includes alpine, subalpine, and montane zones.
Yes.
So that's the list of all the big ones. Obviously, Alaska, 5.4 million acres. I really
That's
want to
a
get
big-
to Alaska one of these days.
Wow.
Because
It occurred to me as you were
looks
talking
interesting.
with the old growth forests, species, and there's also sports and recreation, and for a lot of we have quite a number of indigenous people here, and a lot of them actually live off the land, and so you lose the salmon and you lose the hunting. It's not a good thing, and that's why I think the First Nations are really passionate up here about the preservation, and it is good that people had the foresight quite a long time ago to form the national forest park systems, and there's a place in Montana called the Bob Marshall Wilderness, and they don't even let people in there. I mean, they let a few people in, but they have to be on a guided tour. So it's very
I'm just going to
encouraging.
go through, yeah. Go ahead, finish up.
I'm just saying it's encouraging that we have what's left, and once again, Canada, and a lot of times we're not as good as you guys with this management situation. So there you go. Yeah. What else you got?
So this page has a lot of statistics. Just going to go through some of them. Less than 4% or under 40 million acres of America's original forests remain in existence, according to the World Resources Institute. Less than 1% of frontier forests, large, continuous virgin forests with all the species intact, still exist in the lower 48. So that western
1%?
expansion that we did just really was devastating.
Yeah, totally.
To the land, especially to the forests. Of the
and
original,
not very well managed.
Of the original 1.04 billion acres of virgin forest in the U.S., over 96% has been cut down. There's also a redwood statistic here that's a bit alarming. Redwoods, 97% of America's giant redwoods have been cut down. Financier Charles Hurwitz bought the last private stand of redwoods and is now logging unprotected old redwoods and other ancient forests on his property. Definitely, maybe somebody should contact Charles Hurwitz and say, hello. Maybe that's not a good idea.
Yeah, we can get him a dinner invite to the Kremlin. He'll fit right in.
From 1960 to 1986, so that doesn't even cover the modern era. The amount of garbage produced by each American per year increased by 80%. So I'm just some interesting statistics in here, and they're not very positive.
Not pretty.
But America's forests used to contain millions of trees from 500 to over 2,000 years old. So I don't know. I think we should look into a future stream. I mean, what are they really doing here? When we look at that British Columbia map of the island, there's so much young forest that was replanted, right? So what I'd like to see what's happening across the United States.
Well,
How much?
I
What
can
are they
tell
doing?
you. Well, replanting's all fine and well. I know the highway going to Vancouver from here goes through an area, and I remember when they logged it in the early '70s. So I've been watching it for about 50 years, and the trees are they're getting there. They're maybe 20, 30 feet tall. They're getting there, but it takes a long time to grow a tree, especially trees like what you're showing in these pictures of these trees. And because when they log, they completely change they trash the floor, everything that these trees are used to. And it's basically, once it's gone, we don't get it back. And I think we're not doing a service to future generations by consuming so much, or and the malfeasance of people like that guy that you just mentioned that's logging all these last trees because he can do it. Um, I mean, that's a societal problem that these
Yeah.
type of thinkers, and the guy that was on the roadblock that was calling out the First Nations woman, show me your status card, and really showing her no respect. And the shorter guy, the producer, Tom, told me he knows this about this guy, and he's not a good person, basically.
We've got Cap Brown on YouTube saying replanting takes a long time. Yeah. I mean, it's and what is that's another thing I want to find out. Is it really viable to? It's very difficult
viable
to replant. I mean, it's viable, but
no. I knew people that were tree planters, and yes, it's better than not replanting it. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I mean, replanting it makes sense, and paying for it. It's an obligation here in British Columbia that has to be replanted, and they pay tree planters, who are quite a bunch of characters. Believe me, they live out in the woods and plant trees in the spring, and crazy bunch.
So yeah, for a future
really
stream,
hard work.
we'll see. We'll put together, just the current state of all these young forests that they're replanting. But I've got another link here from AmericanForest.org. I wanted to cover New York because I'm actually in Connecticut right now, but I could almost spit and reach the New York State border. So I wanted to cover the Adirondack State Park here in this AmericanForest.org article. Because
I've been there.
Upstate New York has a lot of, I mean, it's not like out west, obviously. The mountains are
more hardwood.
People from Colorado would think the mountains look like hills, and I guess they are, but there are some stuff here. I used to hike a lot in upstate New York, and this is the Adirondack State Park. Adirondack Wilderness in New York is home to 300,000 acres of ancient trees scattered about the vast wilderness. Some of the largest hardwoods in the world can be found dotting remote ridge lines and lining secluded rivers deep within the park, where logging wasn't able to disrupt centuries of steady growth. However, some select stands have remained in accessible areas. A few minutes walk on the Ampersand Mountain Trailhead leads to statuesque hemlocks, magnificent sugar maples, and gangly yellow birch that have been growing for nearly 400 years. So here's an article here, and, scientists, they're kind of arguing over old growth in the U.S. Just want to do some brief details off of this article from scientificamerican.com. How old growth forest is left in the United States, how much, rather, and is it all protected from logging at this point? As crazy as it sounds, no one really knows how much old growth is left in America's forested regions, mainly because various agencies and scientists have different ideas about how to define the term. Generally speaking, old growth refers to forests containing trees often hundreds, sometimes thousands of years old. But even when there is an agreement on a specific definition, differences in the methods used to inventory remaining stands of old-growth forests can produce major discrepancies, or so complains the National Commission on Science for Sustainable Forestry in its recent report, Beyond Old Growth, Old Forests in a Changing World. In 1991, for example, the U.S. Forest Service and the nonprofit Wilderness Society each released its own inventory of old-growth forests in the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. They both used the Forest Service's definition based on the number, age, and density of large trees per acre. the characteristics of the forest canopy, the number of dead standing trees and fallen logs, and other criteria. However, because each agency used different remote sensing techniques to glean data, the Forest Service came up with 4.3 million acres of old growth, and the Wilderness Society found only 2 million. So they are analyzing this, but it is not an easy thing to, because we're talking about very large areas here.
Yeah.
But we'll see what maybe there's some kind of consensus you can come to. But I found an interesting article. It's in the show notes. Check it out. I think it's time for music festivals.
Yeah, we're gonna. I'm almost tempted to just kind of kick this one into next week because I kind of want to go a little bit more in deep. We're at about an hour now, and I know you've got some pretty serious things to do with the quantum computers. So I think let's kick that.
All right. Well,
down
we
to
have
ne-
the links, just the basics. I just want to go over
Yeah.
real quick. We've got links here.
My suggestion was, like I said at the top of the show, the first two links are very neat site, www.songkick.com, songkick.com/festivals. And it lists all the festivals in Canada, lists all the festivals in the U.S., and I believe it also lists them all, the ones in Denmark, if you're in Denmark, or there are a lot of festivals this year. So yeah, if we leave it till next week, we can kind of maybe go a little bit more in deep with the different ones. And we got some dirt on Ticketmaster. We can research that a little bit more, exactly how much influence does Ticketmaster have over your buying habits. So yeah, I kind of, since it's almost 2 o'clock here in the West Coast, why don't you dive into a scary subject? And I want to thank everybody for viewing the Old Forest thing. It's a really important subject, and for a lot of different reasons. And I don't want to get all hippie on you, but even spiritual reasons. So you go into an old forest, like if you go into the back of my place, it's basically, it is old forest. I mean, I've got trees back there that are hundreds of feet tall, and you can't hear the road, and it's like being in a different world. I'm lucky; it's only like a few hundred feet from my house, but if you're vacationing this year, try to go camping or something and be respectful.
Yeah, Kat says in the chat, for our children and our children's children. Really, I mean, this topic of the old growth and forests in general.
That's what I'm thinking.
We need to leave the planet in a good state for our children and our children's children, and on and on and on. And
it's one tree at a time. Don't freak out about the big picture. Look at the little picture. Save your local tree. If somebody wants to cut down a whole bunch of stuff in your neighborhood or your town or your township or your state, speak up, because they're just going to take it. The companies, they don't care. They're out for the money.
Take it. You don't get anything out of it, and it's not good for the planet. It's not good for your children. It's not good for anybody.
It's bad karma.
No doubt.
All right.
So quantum computing, this is going to be
Okay, first
a rabbit
of all,
hole, so
excuse me.
Your discretion advised.
Can you do me a favor, please? Can you give us a definition of what a quantum computer is?
Well, I've never used one. I've only done research. I'll do the best that I can.
Okay.
On a basic level, on a basic level, my Hackintosh, your PC, your Mac, right? Your standard computer.
Yeah.
It's binary data. It's zeros and ones.
Yeah.
A 0 is a bit. A 1 is a bit. They're constantly turning on and off, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then a bit forms, when you form 8 bits, that's a byte.
Right.
And you can correct me if I don't want to keep going down the rabbit hole, but that's the basics of it with the zeros and ones.
Zeros and ones.
8 of them is a byte. Each 0 and 1 is a bit. Those are constantly turning on and off. With our standard computers that we'd be using. Everything goes out the door with quantum computing, and it really goes into this la-la land where a quantum computer can recognize both 0 and 1 at the same time. There's none of this flipping bits on and off. So that's binary data. The 0 and 1s combine in patterns with the 1s on, the 0s on, and it goes across in 8 bits to form a byte. But quantum computer throws all of that out, and it can understand. It doesn't need to flip, and it understands both states, 0 and 1. That's my understanding. And that's why it has absolutely massive computational power for certain tasks that you can program it to do. It's only good at doing certain very computational tasks. And that's why if we'll go into the first article, and if my keyboard would work. I have Bluetooth issues which I need to hack and fix. So the problem is that these quantum computers, this binary data, they're really good. They're really good at numbers. They can deal with the 0 and 1 in that binary data all the time, persistently. This is in Spanish, and I don't know why.
Hola.
Subscribe.
¿Cómo estás?
Let me try to stop execution real quick. Really annoying. I think I can't remember if my ad blocker is on.
I was getting everything in freaking Naderlouse the other day for some reason.
I might have to switch to Safari. All right, so using just a laptop, an encryption code designed to prevent a quantum computer attack was cracked in just 53 hours. This is english.elpas.com. I guess this is the English version, but it's a Spanish-based website. Tech institutions are trying to find ways to guarantee security as new processing systems become increasingly sophisticated. So because these quantum computers can recognize both 0 and 1 in that binary data, it can easily crack encryption if it's programmed to. Security in an age when quantum computers is about to explode is one of the major concerns for all of the protection systems in the world, according to Jianwei Pan, the major expert in this scientific field in China. The next quantum breakthrough will happen in 5 years. The National Institute of Standards and Technology wanted to put 7 encryption formulas to the test in order to determine their vulnerability to the new processing systems. Warren Bullens from the IBA Research Center in Zurich, Switzerland, managed to crack an encrypted code in just about 53 hours and with a simple laptop. Now, China's doing a lot of stuff. It's hard to get information out of there, but they're working on fusion, a nuclear fusion plant. They're working on quantum computers, how to break our
hypersonic weapons,
our present encryption. So it's only a matter of time.
They're not going to say anything.
They really want Taiwan, though, because what happened with Trump,
chips, baby.
I mean Trump, that guy that was president before Biden, he put the tariffs on China. That really pissed him off. And then things were put into place to make it really hard for companies like Huawei, Chinese company, to get processors. So China's in a mad scramble to create better processors. They're coming out with CPUs. Chinese companies are coming out with GPUs for gaming and research and whatever. So my impression, I mean, I really think they're going to try to get Taiwan because they want those CPUs.
I'm not sure.
They don't have the tech for it. It's going to take them another 5 to 10 years if they invaded Taiwan and took all that tech, all that
problem is,
technology.
There's a problem. I mean, I read an article just this morning. I didn't forward it, I don't think, but it basically said China will not invade Taiwan because it's so dependent on its chip manufacturing that by invading Taiwan, it would disturb their supply chain for maybe a year or two or longer while they put the whole puzzle back together again, because the Taiwanese people aren't going to go willingly back to the factory. And if they bomb the factory or sabotage the factory or sabotage the system before China takes over,
That
it could
brings
take
up a
10
really good
years to
point. I
rebuild.
mean, China would really, if they were to invade Taiwan, it would just decimate, because Taiwan provides 75% of all the silicon
Yeah.
and CPUs and GPUs. It would decimate the
Yeah.
world economy.
And it would decimate the Chinese economy, because even if they got they can't just go in and take it over as a package. Like, can I make a, reservation to like take over your factories and everybody keeps working for me? Because you can be damn sure the Taiwanese will sabotage those factories before they let them fall into Chinese hands. So this article basically purported that that's a reason that China will not invade Taiwan, at least not in the short term.
Yeah.
So
Well,
anyway, back to the quantum thing. Now this guy hacked one of these things with a laptop, or what the hell is this?
Well, I
Using
imagine
just a
he's
laptop.
using the laptop to control the quantum computer. I think they're
Oh, I
making
see.
this hard to understand.
They are.
You don't. Present day
Not a
quantum
laptop.
computers are not laptops. They're these massive things
No.
like this. See this thing?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I've never used one, but I've seen a lot of images. They're like a big, like what the old Cray supercomputers were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe not as
the
big.
UNIVAC.
They're
Remember the
all very much
UNIVAC?
in experimental stage, but they're pretty big. Yeah, I
Like the
remember.
first
I remember
first
the,
computer.
I've seen a lot
It
of
was
images
tubes.
from them. Yeah.
It was tubes, dude, and it took up like a warehouse.
Yeah,
and it was
it
about as
took the whole
powerful
warehouse
as
up. It wasn't just one supercomputer unit. It was absolutely massive.
I know,
But
it was all tubes.
so going forward, more into this article, the challenge involved taking 7 encryption models to the test bench. The plan was to create an impenetrable technique to develop invulnerable transmission formulas. NIST received 69 proposals, of which in the end there were only 4 encryption formulas and 3 secure signatures for the identification and execution of financial transactions. One of the last of these 3 models was Rainbow, a signature system that has a secret key that is only known by the user and that can be verified by the recipient. Ward Bullens cracked the access system in less than a weekend and using only a laptop. This is the second time that Bullens has managed to do this. I believe my previous attack was also fairly severe, and it was already clear that Rainbow would not be standardized. I still don't understand the laptop reference.
I don't either.
They're not explaining that fully, so something weird's going on here. The researcher was an author of a study that was presented at the International Association for Cryptographic Research. Explains both attacks reduced the security level of Rainbow's proposal below the requirements set by NIST. It would be possible to move to larger parameters to protect against the attacks at the cost of larger key sizes and signature sizes. Ray Perner and Daniel Smith-Tone agree with the analysis. According to both of the scientists, before the current selection process, none of the parameters of Rainbow achieved their claimed security level. They admit that small changes are possible so that they can be reached. Quantum computing is a race that is running in parallel to the security problems that it will generate. On the one hand, this science presents huge potential. According to Ada Cabello, a physicist from the University of Seville in Spain, it will allow for quantum physics to be verified in regions that were inaccessible until now. But it also presents a risk. Basically, everything on social media is encrypted. Your password, all of that could be easily decrypted. I've mentioned this on past streams. Criminal elements, the government, they're all storing, like all these data hacks. People are like, I don't care. Stuff got hacked, but they're basically data mining all that, storing it, and waiting to get access to quantum computers so they can easily decrypt it. It's all about trying to get everything in clear text, passwords, everything. Anything that somebody's trying to hide will all go away with these quantum computers. So it's possible, I don't know, obviously not scientists working on this, but they may be able to come up with some kind of new process with existing technology that will prevent these quantum computers from easily cracking this encryption. But I want to move on to the big tech monopolies, Google, Microsoft. I want to check out some of this stuff here because So because quantum computing is so powerful and crack encryption easily, how are these Google and Amazon, how are these big tech monopolies going to offer quantum computing to businesses and individuals? Here we have Amazon announcing the opening of the AWS Center for Quantum Computing. From research to reality, build a better qubit. But this is basically their internal research. And correct me if I'm wrong, is there anybody out there, are you using anything through Amazon Web Services related to quantum computing? So they're working on building a better qubit. Qubit is what's used in quantum computing, similar to, the bit that I was talking about, whether it's a 0 or 1. Innovating error correction. So this is all their internal research, and this is nothing front-facing that a business or an individual could use. But
No.
They're putting billions of dollars into this, so I'd imagine they're gonna come out. I think at the very least, and it's I'm looking into more machine learning and applying that to news and language processing. So quantum computing, you'd be better off using a quantum computer. You'd have to build it from the ground up with software, what have you.
Yeah.
To be able to analyze and do language processing of the news, it could be extremely fast. But I don't know yet if that's feasible. But I would imagine they're gonna offer something like that. Here's a
So the big guys, what you're saying is they're going to get the quantum computers and then let people have access to being able to use them as a service or something.
Yes, I would imagine. Yes, that's why AWS, Google. All right, so Amazon has Amazon Web Services. Google, Microsoft has Azure, whatever. I don't really use Microsoft's cloud, but they have a whole similar services to Amazon Web Services.
Right.
And Amazon Web Services leads the market.
Really?
They dominate. Yeah, they dominate for cloud computing, web services, stuff like that.
Amazing.
So Microsoft has Azure and a few other things. Google has, like, you can fire up machine learning setups where servers get brought up, and you can do things with machine learning with Google's cloud. Google has a lot of stuff going on. So eventually all of them are going to offer, I think, quantum computing access, but it's going to be extremely limited because of how powerful it is.
Yeah, I bet.
It's possible that they're not able to do that. They're not able to offer quantum computing securely, and you won't see it. But like
hard to say.
Google and Amazon are a perfect example. Image recognition was a hot thing in tech for developers and people in IT. Amazon came out with image recognition service, which I've been wanting to test out, where you can basically, throw a bunch of images in there, image library, and it can analyze it and try to figure out, facial recognition. Obviously, a massive violation of privacy. But Amazon, I think it's still up and running. Google was looking into offering this image recognition service, but they took it down because of privacy issues. So you're going to see stuff like that with quantum computers. So if they're able to offer access to quantum computers in a safe way, then we'll see it. But
China will love that.
They may not be able to.
China would love that. I mean, because they're all about facial recognition, like in the subway stations and everywhere. They're tracking everybody, and I could see that really being used for some not good stuff. But on the other hand, I bet it can be used for a lot of good stuff, like maybe cracking the fusion code or something. So stay tuned. You're going to hear it first on the Canuck Yankee show, actually on Variant News, because Variant News rocks for this kind of information. We got the Crypto Knight as on staff, the infamous kryptonite.
Yeah, I've got to do some more research. It's very much in its infancy, offering quantum computing in the cloud.
No doubt.
I mean, think about it. It's still, they still haven't figured out quantum computers. So,
They haven't figured fusion out either, but they're going to.
but I really want to use one. So,
Oh, you need one in the house, dude, to run your friggin' Google lights. Maybe that'll work. Jesus Christ.
yeah, I don't.
All
Get
right.
out
Anybody
much.
else out there having this problem with your Alexa, Google?
Yeah, my Wi-Fi
Sorry.
went down, and then my Android phone couldn't connect to Wi-Fi, so I rebooted the modem and the router, and then the Android phone connected. But now all my Google smart
They're all
devices,
confused.
they can't connect to Wi-Fi, so they're
They
in
don't
this,
sound very smart to me.
well,
These smart
they get,
devices.
I powered everything down because I left the house for a while, and
Yeah,
that
but
will do
still.
it. It'll reset things. It doesn't take much to get all this high-tech stuff to go
Bet you that's true
sizzle.
too.
To
All
make
right,
it sizzle.
All right, well that's fine.
So
So we'll keep covering
lesson
this
learned
thing.
is don't do what I do, and don't power anything down. Just keep everything running, but then you won't be able to afford your electric bill. I don't know. It's not easy. But
You keep me running.
I've got a really good article. I'm going to check it out, but this is, I don't know, you have to be a little bit of a nerd, but it's interesting nonetheless. If you're interested, it's in the show notes, but it's the cloud computing concept and development, a systematic literature review, and it'll give you a good idea of it. I think it's very important for everyone to understand as much about quantum computing as possible, because it's going to bring about an absolute monumental shift in how we live, unless there's a massive EMP detonation around the world and we all go back to the Stone Age. That's also a possibility, but as I've said, I can't predict the future.
Yeah, well, you can guess. You can speculate. It's better not to know what the future is in a way, because that keeps adventure.
We'll have a future stream on. Cloud computing. We'll have to see. I mean, I guess I'm being optimistic, but it seems like these guys, like Amazon Web Services and Google, they're all in a race at that cloud computing level. They want Xbox, Xbox wants to put all the games on the cloud, which I don't like. And if you do play games, which I think a large percent of the population do, don't support cloud gaming. It's really, really bad. That's definitely something in the cloud that is. It just goes back to the model. So basically, you don't own the game. You used to be able to buy discs. Now, DVDs, whatever, CDs, that's gone. They're pushing you have to download it. So it's getting to the point, you won't, in the future, you won't own anything. I mean, you're going to do everything on the cloud.
And also,
so we really have to try to hold on to what we have.
It's not good.
That we own.
The problem is, like, you take a cloud, like, there's clouds up there above this mountain, but okay, if you got a CD, unless you scratch it or break it or lose it, you still have the CD. If you buy a book, you pretty much got to burn the thing to get rid of it. If everything's in the cloud as digital, it could all just go away. And I've read articles about, like, say, film and digital things. I archive as much as I can. I got 15 terabytes of video information, but I'm nuts about that kind of thing. But the thing is, a lot of it's produced and it goes away. What they were saying was, like, with film, it doesn't go away. And if everything's in the cloud, it could just go away, theoretically, or it could get hijacked. It could get hacked by a quantum computer. So yeah, we're going to keep covering this. You want to go to Bizarro? Oh,
Hold
getting
on a
psyched
second.
up for Bizarro here, man.
I just want to do something real quick here.
Going hyper on you here. Hey, we just want to thank everybody for listening and being part of this endeavor. The Canuck Yankee show. We've been on the air since last July, and we're still here. And we'll have to do something special on our 1 year anniversary. Like, I don't know, get drunk on air or something.
Well, as I was mentioning, it seems
maybe
like
you could give me a virtual,
like we're going to be going through some kind of transition, because I may be looking at Odyssey. D-Live is not very good at communicating, and you know, I was talking about this. I was hanging out with Tech Ty and Sour D, Nojo, a few other guys, Mad Dog, and it seems like D-Live's they're between two platforms. They have their existing platform, which they're not doing a good job of supporting, and then they want people to move to this new peer-to-peer technology. The peer-to-peer technology is not easy to use. You have to serve it up from. It only works on Windows 10. According to their site, you're supposed to have had Mac OS support by now, which would make it a lot easier for people to start using this, because it would be easily done on Mac OS.
Yeah, it'd be too
Windows,
bad.
it has a complex firewall setup. But what I'm looking at is a Linux-based Nginx server where I could take that signal and relay it to the standard D-Live platform and everywhere else, anywhere, YouTube, Odyssey. So the peer-to-peer technology is good. It just needs to get a little more developed, and you know, if we can get the D-Live does have an RTMP server, but they want you to run a Windows server. But
I have no idea, dude.
But it runs Nginx. I don't know why anybody would run Nginx, which is open source, on a closed source Windows 10 server, which is expensive.
I know.
I've run Nginx on a Linux server that's open source, so I'm going to look into that. If I can get the RTMP relay working, we are in business. I mean, we are in business.
Listen, you demand. You demand.
And I can talk to the rest of the guys, Sour D and Tech Tie and all those guys. So we could, if I could get that setup working, you know, I can hook those guys up and I can relay their streams for them.
Oh, that'd be great.
Well, and we can help keep building the community, because we have a big community.
Well, that's the thing. Giving it up to all you fellow streamers out there. You know what we're up against. Trying to reach all these different platforms so we're more stable. We've been using YouTube quite a bit because we're squeaky clean enough for them. I'm watching us on YouTube right now. I want to thank Charlie Google. Charlie Google, thank you for letting us have access to your YouTube thing. It's a pretty good service. We also been using D-Live a lot, which the Yankee was talking about. And so we're looking into different platforms where we might be able to stream content that isn't YouTube friendly as much. Not to say we're going to do anything really wrong, but we have to mind our P's and Q's. So yeah, are we ready? I'm getting all psyched up.
Well, yeah, Canuck is really he's itching at the bit, the Q bit, to get to Bizarro News. I mean, he's like everybody. Everybody's just waiting for the Bizarro News section.
I know.
It's their favorite part of the day.
They got to wade through all this old forest and quantum computers and oh my God. But we have to do that. I mean, that's called journalism. But this is called beyond journalism. This is stuff you probably didn't see on normally unless you.
So this is from cbc.ca. Great Gray Owl flips the script on Quebec City wildlife photographer.
And you were talking about and I was thinking about you were talking about predicting the future. Now, when this guy went out to shoot the birds, he didn't expect You expect the birds to fly away.
It says shares her close encounter. That's not a man, it's a woman. I just had to correct you.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Right. You don't want to misgender someone. So this woman shares her close encounter with one of the world's largest owls. Hard to pronounce her name, Anas Trepreneur. And she was quite surprised when the great owl she set out to photograph landed right on the long lens of her camera. How much do you think that lens costs?
Oh, 1,500. Oh, about a couple grand at least. 2-3 grand.
So Anas was supposed to be the photographer, not the subject, but during a photo expedition in the Côte d'Ivoire area north of Quebec City last week, a great gray owl swooped in with other ideas. I was clicking on the shutter, and seconds after I see it land on my lens. That bird's got to be heavy. She told Breakaways, Allison Brunette, it's the biggest owl we have here in Quebec. It's not like a chickadee. It doesn't look like a chickadee.
Hardly a chickadee.
They can pretty much turn their heads all the way around. They can't do 360, but they can basically go from the front to the back.
And if you scroll down, there's a picture of the picture she took of the owl just before it landed on her. It's one of the most amazing owl pictures in history. And the next
this one,
thing you know, if down just a little farther,
known as a
look at that.
Looks like it's coming right for her.
It is. That's the owl, dude. And then it landed on her camera.
That thing came right at me.
It came, and she took the picture, and the next thing you knew, the thing landed on
Those
the
eyes
lens.
are really intense.
It was it was cruising for her. And then that was right before it landed. She snapped that picture, and she figured it would be over, but she probably wasn't sure when she looked through the lens and saw that.
So they think it's a perch theory. It's a perch theory of why the owl landed there. The photographer was wearing a white jacket that blended in with the snow, and she was standing still for quite a long time. Experts have also told her that great gray owls are known for not being afraid of people.
That picture's incredible, man. The owl? Holy capoly. Oh, she's got to win an award for that. I mean, and then the thing lands on the lens. Boy, she did stand still. Wow, that is just super, dude. That made my day. That is massively cool.
Moving on. This is my favorite. This is my second favorite because the last one is the best, and I haven't found the actual live stream for that one, but we'll get to that. That's going to be the last bizarre. This one right here is cute. Horseback riding goat. A hit on BC Farm.
I have a very good one for you. I discovered this is actually near where I live. And so I did some research. And a very good friend of mine, a really good vocalist named Aggie Coop, apparently lives right across the street. And she is actually caretaking that horse. Like she has kind of a take care of horses boarding type of thing on her place, and she knows that horse really well. And so I am going to visit the farm and interview the horse and the goat at some point in the near future. But Kristova, Doukhobor community, and go ahead and read the article if you want. It's just, this is right in my backyard. I mean, I actually know these people.
So the Canuck is going to reach out, see if he can check this out.
I'm going to be able to, definitely.
This is from cbc.ca. Horseback riding goat, a hit on BC Farm. Orette, the goat, climbs onto Bogue to reach tree branches. Maybe his name is Bougie. And massages the horse's back in return, farmer says. There they are. The horse looks really happy to hang out. Farmer Amy Kutinoff says she discovered an unusual friendship between her goat.
Excuse me. Kutnikov.
All right, so Kutnikov.
Kutnikov.
As in the Kootenays. Kutnikov.
Yeah, duh.
Farmer Amy Kutnikov says she discovered an unusual friendship between her goat, Orette, and her horse, Borgie? So she was surprised to see them, but the video really says it all. So we're going to get that loaded. And the horse is very aware of not going too fast. So, because otherwise that goat would fly the hell off.
Yeah, no, they're working together. Day. And this is natural. They weren't trained to do this or nothing.
Let me see. There's no direct link to YouTube or anything.
No, it's a CBC special or exclusive. Yeah, I'll go up there. Hopefully, it'll happen while I'm there. But I'm gonna follow this up at Kingstown. I spent time up there actually at Aggie's place. It's really quite interesting.
These goats seem friendly. I have two billy goats.
Cool, dude.
I have two billy goats.
Now you got the ones. You got the
Across from
Salem
me.
witch ones. They're
Across from me.
They came from
the
Salem.
one little one. Literally, I was down in my driveway throwing garbage away, and he started coming over like he was gonna hang out for lunch or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe he wanted to eat my grass. I don't know what was going on.
Well, probably.
Eventually, I'll probably be hanging out with this goat because they're always looking
Goats are
at
cool,
me,
man.
and they don't. Unfortunately, these people that bought the goats, my neighbors, they don't have a lot of land, especially flat land. I have a lot more flat land. They're on like
Well,
a
you gotta
hill.
feed the damn things. I mean, there's a myth, right, that goats will eat anything, but they will not eat anything.
I
if
hope
they have
they're
good
feeding
food.
them. I hope they're feeding. I'm telling you, I told you already. The one little one was eating my neighbor's bush. Maybe they're not feeding the goat. Some people are
Well,
not very bright. That's all I gotta say.
Call the ASPCA or something, dude. We had goats. I raised goats, alpines, and we raised them. There's two types of goats for milk: alpines and Nubians. Most people have Nubians. Alpines don't produce as much, but they have sweeter milk. They're a little bit smaller goat, but their diet was so good that if there was something that they didn't like, they wouldn't eat it at all. I mean, they got used to really good premium alfalfa hay is really good because there's still alfalfa seeds and stuff like that in it. But no, you got to take care of the animals, especially if you're using for agricultural use like goat's milk. We were able to get, I think, about at least 2 quarts of fresh goat's milk every morning.
So moving on, we've got deepfakes are now trying to change the course of war. When I was on the Friday family stream, I was checking out with Sourdy and Tech Tie, No Joe, all those guys. We were checking out I don't know if this one includes the deep fake from Zelensky, the leader of Ukraine, but let's check it out.
I don't think so. No, this is just the Tom.
This is just Tom Cruise isn't on TikTok. It's a deep fake, but it's related to another recent deep fake out of Ukraine.
Yeah, the Zelensky one, which they had him on
President
on telling his people that they were to surrender and the war was over, and it wasn't as well produced as this one apparently, but it's only going to get better as far as imagine quantum computers can do to this. But yeah, tell people about the deep fake.
That's the tricky thing with quantum computers. They can't do everything really fast. They're building out what they can do well, and it's only certain things. So that at least helps us.
All right, what did Tom Cruise not do? I mean, it isn't Tom Cruise.
I don't know. We're getting an ad, I think, right? All right, so. I want to check it
I
out.
would imagine that, people,
You
if
guys
they get
cool
it
if I play
really,
some
really
sports?
good, then people would say, oh, well, that wasn't really me. It was just a deep fake, even though
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean,
them.
I'm not guilty of anything. It was a deep fake. That's what you have
Yeah.
to say. You say either
I
or a
think
combination of both. You say that's a deep fake, and then you say I take the Fifth Amendment. That's all you have to do,
Yeah.
right?
I'd rather take a fifth of scotch than take a fifth of amendment,
Right. Yeah. Most people would.
even though I don't drink the stuff, but
Right.
I used to.
There's nothing. Let me see. I want to go back to
I think
the
that's the
beginning.
only candy in this
Cool if I play some sports?
segment, but just another thing to watch, another technological thing coming along to a stove, a computer, laptop, tablet, smartphone, monitor screen near you. But no, I mean, the propaganda value is huge. And also, what if the Zelensky thing, if it had been better done, it was and a bit more believable, disinformation.
Barb says in the chat that's worryingly real. Yeah, it is. I mean, we've
Yeah.
talked about this a few times in past
Yeah, thanks,
streams.
Carbs.
What level are we going to get these deep fakes? And they start coming and coming.
Yep.
Yep. And then you're got
And in a
it's
close
like
to
it's like a whack-a-mole. You've got to every video. You've got to is it fake or is it not? And you got to whack the mole.
Yeah, and also again, think about a closed society like China with the propaganda machine. They can churn out stuff that would lead the majority of their people to believe that so and so is really, really evil because they can have video of this so and so doing
China,
something.
North Korea, now what's happening in Ukraine on both
Russia.
sides. Pro-Ukraine,
Russia.
people that are pro-Ukrainian, people that are pro-Russian. Massive propaganda war, and
Huge.
you're going to see
And this
more
deep
of this
fake,
fake news
it's
stuff.
gonna this deep fake thing's gonna really play into the propagandists, especially in a closed circle where people are already convinced, and all you're doing is reinforcing their convincedness in the propaganda with actual video. Because people, have grown to trust video. Photoshop. People used to be in Photoshop, but we couldn't do this with video until recently. I mean, I'm a videographer and I don't mess with this kind of stuff, but before, if I shot video, people go, that, yeah, now that's really was them. So
Well,
another
moving
thing
on to the last and final story, the one everybody's been waiting for, I think. Anime girl, virtual YouTuber unmasked as middle-aged male otaku loses some fans and gains others. Unfortunately, I don't have the live footage. Okay, the basics of this is that a middle-aged Asian man, I believe he's in Japan. Yes, I mean, it says Japan up here. He was impersonating this anime character that you can see on the screen. A female-looking anime character. Stuff like this is very popular in Japan.
Yeah.
Popular in certain circles in the U.S. and Canada also. But so he was impersonating this female anime character with a full virtual reality bodysuit, goggles, like all this stuff. And in the middle of his live stream, it all broke. Kind of like how my Google Home broke.
Yeah.
Can't the Wi-Fi, everything just goes haywire. But this happened to him live stream, and then all of a sudden he's sitting there, turns from a female digitized anime character to like this weird-looking middle-aged Asian guy, and I'll try to find the actual footage from the live stream. But for some time, many Japanese video bloggers kept their faces off camera and used voice-altering software. Because of that, the online community is already used to machine-like voices in online videos. And so when inexpensive motion-sensing technology that could convert your body movements and facial expressions into computer animation on the fly became available, the stage was set for a boom in virtual YouTubers in Japan. Not surprisingly, most virtual YouTubers take the form of cute young anime girls. One of the newest to appear on the scene is NoraCat, who made her debut last December and has attracted some 55,000 subscribers to her YouTube channel, where she chats about video games. With her gothic dress, cat ears, and striking scarlet eyes, NoraCat's visual elements are aimed squarely at Atuku, as is her polite, soft speech. As a matter of fact, she knows she's designed to check off multiple boxes on Atuku's list of preferences, and has even stated in one of her videos, if you want to fall in love with a virtual character, then you should. I won't portray those feelings. If everyone feels attracted to me, I will continue to be
my
attractive.
God.
So it's okay.
Give me a break.
So, but that's, he built this persona for this character, and then it glitched. But I'm seeing a lot of this has been wiped from the internet, but it's got to be somewhere.
That doesn't surprise me. Well, that just goes to show you. You know, it kind of reminds me. Remember, we had that one of the guy that was in a video conference and he couldn't get rid of the him looking like a kitten. You remember that?
Which one?
Oh, we had it on Bizarro like last fall, I think it was, and a guy on a video conference, but he couldn't get rid of the device that made him look like he was a kitten, and he had to go through the whole meeting looking like a kitten.
Oh, I mean, I don't recall. We should dig that up. I'm not sure if we
Yeah,
ever
we'll
showed
dig
that.
it up.
We'll dig it
Yeah,
up in the show notes.
It's in a really early Bizarro. Yeah, what happened was the guy had some automatic emoji type of thing for, I guess, when he maybe was chatting to other people and he didn't want them to see what he looked like, but it was this cute little kitten. And I think it was in a deposition for a court case or something serious like that. And he had to look like a kitten. And he didn't know how to disable it. Anyway, we'll dig that up. But just goes to show you, and wait till you go to the metaverse. The Yankee apparently is going to go to the metaverse, but we're trying to develop a tracking system so that if he gets lost in the metaverse, similar to an avalanche tracking system,
Right.
Where a little beam so we can go in there and try to find the Yankee. Because if you get lost in the metaverse, I don't know what the hell we're going to do, man.
Yeah.
But
that's the show.
So anyway.
And we'll have another one next week. And like I said, I'm definitely, I'm going to see, obviously, I've got so many things going on at once here. I've got stuff, catastrophic technical issues, multiple catastrophic. My mining rig went down as my Wi-Fi went down, and I've got some things to fix. But I really want to take a look at that. I want to take a look at that RTMP
Jones?
relay with the new peer-to-peer tech, because if I can solve that puzzle piece and be able to relay that stream
underneath the ground,
I could stream it directly to the Canucks local area network, and that's all he gets to see is the Canuck Yankee show over and over again. That's the only thing. Like, he could go online, but that's all he sees is the Canuck Yankee show.
No, I can go out in the front yard and look at old growth forest, man. I don't need this computer nonsense. It's an aggravation to me.
No, it really
is.
I love it's horrible. I hate technology. I really
no,
do.
I make a living playing music, and I make a bit of a living using computers for video production and audio production. It's kind of up and down, but and just counsel anybody, people don't get too deep into this. Like, go for a walk in the woods. Spend at least
I take a lot of walks in my neighborhood, in the real, not in the metaverse. Yeah, out there in the real, it's nice to do. I try to do it once a day, but sometimes I'm not able to do that.
If you spend 5 hours on the internet, spend 50 minutes in the woods or something, like 10% of your time, yeah, that's fair. Like a half hour in the woods for every 5 hours is only 10% of your time. So, but yeah, and so thanks a lot for watching. It's been fun again. We'll be on next week with some more nonsense.
To thank, we have Carbs in the chat, and Kat was in the chat, so thanks for hanging out. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah. Next Sunday is the I believe no, it's the 10th next Sunday. Okay, well that makes sense. All right, yeah, well thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody, and we'll catch you on the rebound. Be sure to tune in to Variant News Because the Crypto Night has the crypto. What do you
Yeah,
call
I'm gonna be doing.
cryptology
I'm gonna be
show?
doing crypto shows all through the week. Take a look for them in the evenings, Eastern time, around 7 p.m.
Yep. Yep.
But it could be pretty much any day, Monday through Friday. I think I'm just gonna stick to that for now. It gives me the flexibility to be
Right
able
on.
to do a show or not do a show, depending on how much work I have. So
There
be
we
on the
go.
lookout. I mean, I'm gonna be doing. I think I'm gonna be doing like more like a crypto track. I'm gonna run a crypto tracker for like an hour or so to lead the show, so that I can propagate, into the ether, into the internet.
Oh man, I love it when you talk dirty.
I've been
Propagate into
doing
the
that. And that's been
ether.
working out well for the Kryptonite Cryptopia show. So be
Right
on the
on.
lookout for that. And the check's in the mail. I promise. Bills are
Yo.
paid. And take care, everybody. Be safe. And thank you for
Always.
your support. Greatly appreciate it. And save the trees and the old growth forest.
Yep.
All
Thank
right. See everyone on the other side.
See you.
My tree. I love my woman, she making love to me. All I got is one thing down, one thing down. Don't shine, shoot.